This is a Grit Talk. My name is John Carney. I'm here to answer 7 questions. What have you not done yet that you would like to be part of your story or included in your eulogy? At the risk of violating the rules, good morning. My name is John Carney. I'm the mayor of our city. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you this morning and share a few thoughts as it relates to these questions. My mother passed away recently, and we all celebrated her great life with eulogies by my older sister and one of her grandchildren. What they talked about was what a wonderful mother and friend Ann Buckley Carney was. A high school and college basketball star known as Buckets Buckley. She dedicated her life to her raising her 9 children. She was an Irish girl who grew up in Chester, met her Irish husband, Jack Carney, who grew up in West Philadelphia, and raised 9 wonderful people, if I might say, and dedicated her life to helping others. The response that I got from her death was incredible in the people that she met and the impact that she had. I don't think much about my own eulogy, but what I should think about is more what are called life virtue eulogy virtues as opposed to resume virtues, something that maybe we can get into later. Has failure or apparent failure set you up for later success? And do you have a favorite failure? Everybody in this room who was around in 2008 remembers that I lost the election for governor to Jack Markell, who was our state treasurer at the time. And for me, that was a kind of devastating setback. But I used that setback to go forward with my career in public service and a renewed commitment, frankly, to make my service about the people that I serve and not about myself. I'll also say that it was a very positive thing for me politically because I did it in such a way where I went and supported Jack Markell and his run for governor. And as a result, his supporters and others saw the way that I reacted and say, hey, you know what? Maybe this guy is somebody that we should elect for another office. And obviously I ran for the U.S. House of Representatives, served 6 years there, 6 of my most unproductive years, I might say. And then after the death of Beau Biden, a run for governor. It's been a great privilege to be your governor here in our state. This is a special place to serve. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? So we all remember what happened during the pandemic. Some guy that was the governor at the state at the time said we couldn't do this or couldn't do that. We shouldn't be out there gathering in great crowds and going to social events. And so my wife bought me a year's membership to Porky Oliver's golf course. And I spent late afternoon after late afternoon playing golf by myself. You know, you score better when you play by yourself. That little 6-inch putt, boom, that was good. Charlie McDowell, I'm sorry, he's a real professional. But it really was time to gather myself, to reflect on what happened that day. And there was a lot of things happening, a lot of stress, but a new appreciation for silent time by myself in reflection. What activities make you lose track of time? Playing golf by myself. Clearly, my wife would wonder, where are you? I'm out on the golf course still, playing by myself. I've had a little trouble with the 8th hole here and just trying to play it over again a little bit. But I do get regular physical activity, so I lose track of time doing that. Playing golf by myself, reading and reflecting is really a good way to lose track of time. What book do you most often give or recommend, and how has that book influenced you? I brought the book with me. It's called From Strength to Strength, and the important part is the subtitle, Finding Success, Happiness, and Deep Purpose in the second half of your life. I just recently had to make a big decision after my term limit time as your governor ended. What was I going to, by the way, this book is about the second half of your life. I'm way past, I don't know how long I'm going to live, but I do know that even if I live a long time, I've long passed the midpoint of my life. And so this book might have been more helpful in the decisions I've made during that period of time. But I did make a decision, and people ask me kind of unbelievably, why did you decide to run for mayor? And for me, my decision to get involved in public service in the first instance was not really about me. It was about the people that elect those of us who are elected officials and the people that we serve or are supposed to serve. And so when I was confronted with the decision, what are you going to do next? And then Mayor Mike Brzezicki came to me and said, I don't think I can do this again. I'd really like it if you would step forward and run. And so I did it really to make an impact on our city. We have really serious issues and challenges in our city. It's arguably a more difficult job than being governor of our state. And it's completely rewarding. Number one, people are really nice to you. People come up, honestly, of all stripes, all different parts of our city. They come up and they say, Mayor, how are you? And now maybe that's just because I'm in 2 months now. And maybe that'll change after our next budget that we submit, but we'll leave that alone. This book, From Strength to Strength, really focuses on the strengths that you have as a young person, physically, intellectually, and how you apply that to whatever you do in life, whether it's business, real estate, public service, nonprofits, education, whatever it is. Things change. Your capacity, your intellectual capacity diminishes over time. And so it's the idea of changing from those strengths that you had earlier on in your life to the strengths that you have towards the end of your life, where really more come from your heart than your head. It's more about wisdom and experience that you bring to whatever issues. And I can see that in the difference between the way I approach issues and the way my much younger members of county council or the General Assembly in years past approach a particular issue. I would recommend this book strongly, and particularly if you're in your 30s or 40s, it will really give you an opportunity to focus going forward. What have you purchased or been given in the last year valued under $200 that has most positively impacted your life? First of all, those of you who know me, remember I was one of 9 children. My father and mother both were teachers. So we didn't have a lot other than the love and care that we got from our parents. In fact, when I was growing up in Claymont, we never locked the front door because my mother was always worried about the last person in getting locked out and having so many keys that it really didn't matter because somebody else was going to get a handle of those keys. I do remember an experience where I was the one who was out and the door was locked, and at 2 o'clock in the morning I had to wake up my parents, and that did not go over very well. My father's theory was this: we don't have anything in here but kids, and if you want a kid, you can take them. So I'm a cheapskate. I get it from my father, I think, who grew up poor in West Philadelphia. And so I'd like to turn the question around a little bit. I spent over $5,000, I want to say, for tickets, airplanes, and accommodations to the Super Bowl back in 2017. And it was really painful for me to pay all that money. But let me just tell you, It was the best $5,000 that I ever spent. I brought my youngest son with me. My older son had something else to do, and we just had a great time, just he and I together. And if you remember, the Eagles won that game. Go Birds. If you could broadcast a message to everyone in the world, knowing it would be received and remembered, what would it be? I think two things, and it's the advice I give to young people all the time when they're just trying to figure out what they wanted to do in life. And I struggled with that I thought I wanted to be a football coach, and I did that for a few years. I didn't really discover public service and government in particular. People say, did you always want to be governor? Did you always want to be an elected official? No. I wanted to be a football coach. And at one point I realized that, I'm really not making the impact that I'd like to make here. My future depends on how 18 to 22-year-old young men perform on a given Saturday afternoon. And I just don't want my future to be depending on that. So wait a minute. I decided on something that depends on how a couple 100,000 people vote on a given Tuesday in November. Does that make any sense? It certainly doesn't. But if there's one thing, so I tell people, do what you love and you won't work a day in your life. And I think it goes back to what's most important, is to reach out and help others. What you'll find from this book, From Strength to Strength, is that kind of fulfillment, that kind of sense of purpose is really important as you finish off your life, the second part of your life. It's been a great privilege to grow up here in Delaware, to be an elected official, to be a governor. I don't think I could do this in any other place. And it's been a great privilege for me to serve all of you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning, and I hope that you can take a little something from what I've had to say. And if not, read this book, Finding Success, Happiness, and Deep Purpose in the second half of your life. Thank you.